Hello and welcome back to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Danny Vittori, and today we're joined by two guests on Zoom from Lynn Public Schools to talk about the All-City Art Exhibit happening in a few weeks. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. We're thrilled.
Of course. And would you mind just briefly introducing yourselves for us and saying your title and your association with the event?
Sure, Danny, thank you. I'm Dr. Patty Klibansky. I am the Director of Art, Theater, and Dance under the Curriculum Department in the Lynn Public Schools. I help oversee and supervise and direct all pre-K through 12 grades staff in the Lynn Public Schools.
Great.
And I'm Katelyn Bradly. I'm an early childhood art educator.
So just, can you give a brief overview of this event, like when it's happening, what's happening?
Absolutely. I'm happy to start. This is our All-City Art Exhibit representing our students' finest work in all 27 schools of the Lynn Public Schools. The grade span is for pre-K through 12, so we have all our top artists exhibiting, and our opening night is March 20th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. We also have visiting hours the next few days after that, and the visiting hours, it's all open to the public and free. At the LynnArts galleries on 25 Exchange Street. And the visiting hours are March 21st and 22nd from 12 to 3 p.m. and Saturday, March 23rd from 10 to 2 p.m. And we will have some teachers and myself representing there and welcoming guests. Of course, we encourage everybody to come on opening night and to get there a little bit early for parking, but the event is open for all.
Great. And I noticed on the notes you sent that it's your 20-year anniversary of doing this. So is there anything special or specific you're doing for that?
Sure. So we started this back in 2002, early on with an Arts Can Teach grant, and we had visiting artists and encouraging our students to exhibit their work like professional artists, and that's where our partnership with LynnArts started. So we have been keeping to this tradition every year annually ever since. With the exception of a shutdown, during the pandemic for 2 years, where we exhibited virtually at that time. But basically, for the 20th anniversary, what we want to do is invite a special guest poet and artist, Sarah Ting. And we've been working on a special project with her called the Sun Poem Project, based on her famous poem, The Sun Poem. And so that unveiling of that work is also going to be happening on opening night. So we're hoping a lot of people from the Lynn community are going to come to check it out and see this inspiring work.
Oh yeah, some exciting stuff happening. I'm really curious to see it too. Mm-hmm. And I'll ask, how are students selected for this exhibit? What's that process like?
I'm going to have Katelyn Bradly actually speak to this as the teacher.
So every school has, the master teacher that's looking at all the student works. We're selecting the top students in each school. We're hoping to make sure that students across all grade levels are represented. So from the beginning of the year, we know the show is gonna go on in March. So we take our time to sort of look at the lessons that we're teaching and select works from all the kids that are really representing the top work that we have in our schools.
Yeah, can I just add something? So the top artists in the schools are represented not because only they're top artists, but we want them to get a feel for what it's like to be a professional artist, because potentially they might be going into the arts long-term or, for their careers someday or, long-term hobbies. So we want to encourage our students to go through the process of presenting their art that's standards-based with our curriculum. And so it's exciting that they get to do that. There's something else I wanted to share about that. The teachers do curate, and so they select the works, as Katelyn mentioned, and they do a fine job of that, of being inclusive and selecting people of all abilities, of all backgrounds. We try to look at different demographics and making sure we're celebrating, a lot of different things and a lot in our students through their art. But it is their show. So students sometimes at the higher levels, like in the college level classes at the high schools, for example, sometimes students will select their own work from their portfolios that they want to show to the public, where they're able to pick from more works. they're able to do that. So that professional experience of like having students at the higher levels, kind of go through and show like what they want to communicate to the larger community is an important lesson in itself, and part of the teaching and selection process along with the teacher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's definitely a great experience for the students.
Yeah.
And you touched on it a little bit, but both of you, what do you think are other benefits to giving students this really professional experience as, young members of society?
Yeah, I think it encourages students to show that they have a voice and that they really matter. They're not just the future, they're the present. Their voice is powerful now, and they can communicate through their art. And giving students access and materials and opportunities and venues and different ways to communicate their voice is so important. Of course, writing is important. There are all different ways of communicating, but the arts is visual art in itself is very powerful. So we teach this in our daily lessons and throughout the district and our trainings with staff, that we want students to really, we encourage them to express themselves about different topics, whether it be social justice, current events, Black History Month, celebrating their own identities or problems they're having. There are a lot of reasons why people make art. And part of that also includes wanting to share that with people around you, inspiring others around you, or just connecting with those in your community around you, and having an audience and having people see what it is that you're communicating.
I think too, for my younger students, it gives them such a confidence boost to see their work with some of the older students' work and see, what they could aspire to being, later on in their art career.
And your young artists, Katelyn, are so expressive. Their work is fabulous. I can't wait to see it next to, we have pre-K and grade K and grade 1. It actually exhibited right next to a senior's work. Mm-hmm. It's exciting to see the growth and how they go from, where they are 4 years old to where they are at 18 or 19 years old.
Sure.
It's actually, the growth is amazing to see side by side.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned, Katelyn, you work with younger kids. So what range do you teach?
I have done pre-K all the way up to 5th. Right now I'm working with mostly pre-K kiddos, which is amazing. We do a lot of process art. So it's funny because, what ends up in our art shows is technically product, but the work that we do to get there is what I think is really important to kids in the age group that I work with.
Mm-hmm. Really giving them a chance to express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And is there a specific medium, or is it a wide range? Do the students get to choose how to best show their art?
Katelyn, you want to answer that?
It's a wide range. You'll see a lot of mediums. There's 2D and 3D work, which is really exciting because I think a lot of times 3D work isn't always represented in shows like this, and I think it's amazing that the kids get to experience showcasing both of those. So you'll see it's a wide variety of mediums.
We've had in the past found objects in our shows, things like recycled materials, traditional materials like acrylic paints and watercolor paints and clay, and then we've had plastic bottles and things like that as well, and topics about conserving the land and things like that. But you'll see all different things. We've even had glass. We've done glass fusion with the secondary teachers, so we've had some glass projects featured from certain schools, since we have some glass kilns in the secondaries. So there's a pretty wide range.
I'm excited now. I'm getting excited to see this and what they come up with, because it can be so creative and so fascinating to see how they express themselves through the art. And I know I have to wrap up in a moment, but is there anything else that I didn't cover that either of you wanted to mention about the show?
We would just love to see everybody from the community stop by. And again, if you cannot make it to opening night, we'll be there for visiting hours on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. We have our art exhibit invitation on the Lynn Schools website. and through Lynn Community Television has their link promoting the show as well. So we hope to see everybody.
Great. Anything else you want to add, Katelyn, or are we?
No, we're excited. All the teachers are really excited. I know Dr. Klibansky is really excited. All of our kids are super excited. So we're hoping it's a really good turnout.
There is one thing I forgot. Oh, it's National Youth Art Month in March, and that is one of the main reasons we like to feature and have this exhibit in March now, is that it celebrates art during a time where nationally it is recognized.
Love that, the connection to a bigger thing. And I said, you got me really excited to see the kind of art that these kids are going to come up with. So if you're interested in, go on by and see it. And I want to thank both of you again for coming on to talk about it.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Danny. We hope to see you there too.
Oh, yes, of course. And once again, I'm Danny Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and join us next week with more guests.